Good morning and happy Friday. It is your boy, Atypical Security Guard. I am heading to work. Back to the grind. I was off yesterday. Back to the hustle. You should be able to somewhat see me. The sun is coming up. Today I want to answer the question, is it worth working in private security in 2024? In the past week, we've had the viral video of the Seattle security guard. This guy, by a lot of fault of his own, has become the poster child for security guards that are doing too much. Seems like we get a new one of those every other week. His name is out there. His image is out there. More than likely, it's going to be very difficult for him to work in that industry. And the guy's going to become a meme. You know what I mean? On top of that, we had the situation in Philadelphia this week where a security guard was involved in a shooting where he had to delete someone. And in the process, he was shot, I believe, multiple times, and is on the heel. And then every single day, guys, I come on here and I talk about all aspects of working in security, the things that we deal with, the things that I go through. I try to offer my opinion. I try to offer my advice. I try to give you guys, good direction. And even with that, there's times where it's difficult because of all the things that we deal with, the things that we go through, the way that we're treated, the way that we're talked to. So it's not out of the realm of question that sometimes you ask yourself, is it worth the hassle? What is the hassle? The hassle is all of the minor stuff that we deal with. The hassle is the amount of money that many of you guys are making that's really not worth what you're going through. The hassle is that there's probably not a lot of room for advancement. Most of you who watch these videos, your idea around what private security is, you think of it in one of two realms, like base level security, or you think of it in terms of executive protection. And so with those two thoughts in mind, a lot of times you're not thinking about ways to make this an actual career. It's always been a stepping stone for people that want to get into law enforcement, but now, despite the efforts of people trying to make law enforcement more appealing, it's still just not an industry that a lot of people want to get into. I mean, some. So you start to ask yourself, look, if I'm making $15 to $25 where I'm putting myself out there to deal with the lowest common denominator of society, to potentially get assaulted, to get myself into a fight, to get myself shot, or even have to be the person that gets involved in a shooting on the other side and be ridiculed, potentially held liable. I mean, these are questions that if you're doing this job, you have to be asking yourself. And right now, any small mistake, any small misstep, any step to the left or the right of your policies, and you can see by that situation of that guy in Seattle how quickly the thing can blow up. So I don't blame any of you guys who are asking yourself, is it worth it? Here's my thought. You are doing a job that, regardless of how it's viewed, regardless of what people think, regardless of what a lot of people would say to you, you are doing a job that is necessary. It's needed. People have said that you are either a sheep, a wolf, or a sheepdog. I think the average idea of a sheepdog is this forward operator, jacked, military-minded guy. And I don't believe that that's true. I think that a lot of the sheepdogs that are out there, they're just average people. Hell, if you look at a literal sheepdog, it's not a big dog. It's not a German Shepherd. It's not a Rottweiler. Like, a sheepdog is a fairly small animal that exhibits a lot of control over the pack, that stands toe-to-toe with the wolves. And guys, in today's society, in today's day and age, there's just simply not enough people to be there when these issues arise. We've talked about the issues at convenience stores. We've talked about the issues at grocery stores. We're all aware that things happen at banks, that things happen at schools. Depending on, what your family dynamic is like, these places where all of the problems are happening, where they have security, your family is going to be frequenting those places. Your family, people in your community, people that you care about. And if you're not going to do that job, who is? I have a firm belief that society and our government is trying to push us to be completely apathetic to everything that's going on. I'm not going to go into my political rant. And I used to think that people were crazy when they were like, they are literally pushing us towards socialism. And I used to think to myself, like, there's no benefit to that. That doesn't make any sense. But when you start to look at the things that are happening, you start to look at the effort to keep the southern border open, the effort to devalue a college education, the efforts to push people towards like a universal basic income, it starts to kind of make sense, right? The efforts to disarm people. And I really think that society and our government, they want to push people to not be protectors. They don't want people to look out for their neighbor. They don't want people to step up. Whether that's in law enforcement, becoming a cop, or working as a security guard, or any other aspect, just being a good Samaritan. I think that it's all tied in. But you individually, and when I say you, I mean me and anybody else that's potentially watching this vehicle, or this video rather, we have an opportunity to do our part and push back on that narrative. I'm not going to tell you that you have to work in private security, but what I am going to tell you is that private security is needed. If you have the ability, you have the desire, you have the want to, you have the temperament for it, this is still a viable job in 2024. Now, we can talk about which aspects of working in security are more beneficial to you than others. We can talk about where you can make the most money, how you can make the most money, what's going to be the most effective use of your time. But the question of, is security a viable career, a needed career, a path that needs good people? God damn, yes. Guys, we're pushing towards the election. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware right now, if you're keeping your ears to the streets, but it's getting hot out here, man. This political division is worse than I have ever seen. And I've gone through, X amount of elections, being almost 50 years old. I think that we are in a really, really bad position in terms of what potentially could happen this year, or what could potentially happen with the inauguration in 2025. We're going to need people who are willing to stand in that gap and protect businesses, protect the infrastructure, protect your neighbor, protect everything. I firmly believe that. And I think that those of you who are in the security industry right now, and you're working these base level jobs, I think that in the coming months, as the election gets closer, I think that the ability for you to work in roles of executive protection, working with news organizations like I did before back in 2020, starting your own company to protect businesses, I think the opportunities for you guys to make more money than what you've ever thought was possible I think that it's there. It's just going to take some strategic planning, a little bit of effort, and the desire to do it. Somebody's going to get paid. Why not you? Now, the negative is that a lot of states, Oregon being one of them, they are working extremely hard to make it very, very difficult for your startup, mom and pop, small security companies to even operate. I think that's by design. I don't think that there's any coincidence that a law like that goes into effect right before the election. They know that Allied Universal, Securitas, Maxent, those kind of companies, they're not going to do anything in terms of protecting businesses, protecting people. It's going to be warm bodies. So depending on where you're at, what your opportunities are, what your options are to actually start a company, I think now is a great opportunity if you have that ability. And if you're not beholden to certain laws that proclaim what you're doing as a security guard to be some sort of paramilitary activity. You got to watch that. You got to be aware of that. I still think this is a great career. I am still 100% vested in the security community and doing my absolute best to be not only a good guard, but a good shepherd for what we're doing, to help motivate people, to help educate people, to help entertain you guys, right? So yeah, I think it's a great career, guys. I still do. I still believe in it. Don't get discouraged. I talk to you guys. I have so many of you guys that reach out to me via email. Some of you guys have my number. You text me. It means a lot to me to talk to you guys and hear what you're going through and give you guys a little bit of advice and just let you know that I understand. I know what you're going through, guys. I get it. Okay? But if you don't have a lot of other options, this is a great place to be. Traffic has automatically stopped for some reason. Must be a wreck. There's always a wreck on this area. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tap out. Let me see if I got anything here. Yeah, Steve says you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Absolutely. Yeah, man. But you know what? It is damned if you do and damned if you don't. But I would rather be the one in that situation than other people. I don't know, man. It's a calling. Protecting people is a calling. Having a desire to help people is a calling. It may be at the end of the day, like, you know, either it's in you or it's not. And it's okay if it's not. Like, that doesn't make you a bad person if you don't want to help people, if you don't want to be... If you don't want to be that sheepdog, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if it's in you, man, do it. And don't let the fact that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't let that deter you. Just recognize it, man. Dude, listen. If you've ever been in a relationship with a woman, there's no difference in that. I have a great relationship with my wife, but in 99.9% of situations, I don't want to say of conflict, but differing opinions, right? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But you still have that relationship. If you're a parent, parenting kids. Sometimes parenting kids, you have to make a tough decision. You have to do something that's the right thing to do, and it's going to upset your kids. You know, if you're like me and your kids are older, sometimes your decisions can drive wedges between you. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. A large part of that is just being a man. That's kind of our existence. So don't let that deter you, okay? All right. getting ready to do my overchain switch off here. You guys, listen, if you're working today, please be safe. Pay attention to what you're doing. Think before you act. Keep your head on a swivel. Watch what you say to people. Take your time. Do your absolute best to de-escalate situations before they get out of control. Watch your back. Watch your partner's back. You guys make sure that you make it home tonight, okay? I'll be thinking about you guys. I care about you guys. You matter, all right? You guys be great.